In the town of Obodongo lived the family the Nzes. Their father, Okeke, worked with Afric Fabrics, a private company that manufactured fabrics, and he was one of the highest paid employees, not until he was laid off as a result of a conspiracy in the company by some of the employees. Their mother, Orjiugo, owned a restaurant which wasn't doing well. Despite her business struggles, she never lacked anything because her husband provided for the family. They had three children, a boy and two girls. Ever since her husband lost his job, Orjiugo had to take up the responsibility of catering for her family, which wasn't easy because she wasn't really doing well in her business. Her husband began searching for a job, which was not forthcoming. He resorted to doing menial jobs so his children could continue going to school. They never went hungry because they end up eating whatever Orjiugo made in the restaurant as a result of little or no sales. Over time, Orjiugo grew frustrated with her husband's inability to provide for the family, often taunting and calling him useless. She even began to stab him, demanding that he pays for any food he was served. Eventually, Okeke, unable to bear the insults any longer, asked for forgiveness and reminded her of the good times when he still had his job. He requested a little more time to get things back to normal, but Orjiugo insulted him even more. In anger, Okeke told her that she should be ashamed of herself. While other women thrived in their businesses, she couldn't even pay her shop rent or make a profit from the business he had started for her. One fateful day, one of Orjiugo's friends, Nkechi, whose business was booming, came to visit. She saw the state Orjiugo was in and told her she would help revive her business, that she would take her to a place but she would have to keep it a secret even from her husband. In her response, Orjiugo told her that she doesn't have a husband. Orjiugo asked her when she would take her there, and her friend told her until she decided. Orjiugo, who was in a haste to make money, told her that she was ready immediately. But her friend told her to sleep over it and be sure she was ready for the journey. Nkechi told Orjiugo to call her anytime she decided before leaving. The next morning, Orjiugo called Nkechi to tell her she was ready for the journey, and Nkechi told her they would make the journey at night. When it was time, they embarked on the journey to a very distant town to see a native doctor. When they got there, Orjiugo didn't care that she was taken to a native doctor's place. She was done with low sales and wanted to make money at any cost. The native doctor welcomed them and asked what brought them. Nkechi told him about how Orjiugo has not been making sales in her business and they wanted him to help her. Then the native doctor asked Orjiugo if she was ready for the task ahead, and she answered in an affirmative. She was given a liquid to drink and a different substance to rub all over her body, which she did. The native doctor told her that from that moment she is not to put on anything on her foot, that she is to go barefooted for her business to grow and the charm to remain potent. He also told her that she is not to sleep with any man from that day, not even her husband, because she will always be menstruating. And that any time she is cooking for her business, she is to wash out blood, which will be her secret ingredient. Remember, I said, to always come here every first Eke market day every month. She asked the native doctor how she will explain going barefooted to occasions and functions, and he told her that any day she defaulted, the repercussions would be deadly. They thanked him and left. Before it was morning, they got back and she asked a friend to help her buy the things she needed in the shop since she can't go to the market barefooted in broad daylight. Nkechi helped her go to the market and got everything she wanted, including sanitaries. After Nkechi had gone home, Okeke asked Orjiugo where she had gone without letting anyone know her whereabouts. She told him she went to her friend's house and had slept off, losing track of time. Very early the next morning, Orjiugo left for her business so no one would see her barefooted. As instructed by the native doctor, she washed out some blood and added to the food. Anyone who perceived the aroma of the food wanted to have a taste of it. Orjiugo was surprised at the amount of sales she made that day. She could not contain her joy that she called her friend over the phone to narrate how she sold everything she made and people were asking for more. When our kids came to the restaurant to eat as usual and saw the amount of people eating there, they began asking their mother what was happening. She simply told them she was as surprised as they are. She immediately told them that they should on no account eat any food from the restaurant. She told them whenever they wanted to eat, they should take money and go eat elsewhere or make food at home. They asked why they would stop eating her food all of a sudden. She swore to kill anyone that would eat it. On reaching home after doing the dishes, Okeke's first daughter Ngozi narrated everything that happened in the restaurant to her father. She also told him their mother told them to stop eating in the restaurant. When he confronted his wife to know why, and she told him she owned the restaurant and could do anything she pleases. From that day, people trooped in from far and near to Orjiugo's special to eat. When Orjiugo could no longer meet up with running the restaurant alone, she employed more hands. But she cooked every dish herself and never allowed anyone close to where she cooks. One Eke day, she went to the native doctor as instructed, and she told the native doctor that she wanted people to want her food more, and he gave her a substance to always add to every dish she made. The substance made people never to get full at her restaurant. They always asked for more food until they exhausted their money. The demand for her dishes became very high that her name was heard far and wide. One of her neighbors, who became concerned that her children don't eat from the restaurant, asked her how the business boosted in a short period of time and that her children don't eat her dishes, and Orjiugo simply asked her to mind her business. Ever since her business started booming, her disrespect towards her husband increased. He had to work like an employee so he could eat. The day he noticed Orjiugo was always barefooted and asked why, she told him it wasn't true. One day, Okeke was going to the market to get things for his wife, and he met an old friend, Ebuka, who wasn't happy with the way he looked. He asked about Orjiugo. I heard Orjiugo is now doing well with her business. Why look so unkempt? He asked. Okeke narrated everything to him, from how he lost his job to how his wife changed overnight and sudden business boom. He offered to help introduce him to a man who would restore his lost dignity. The next day, they left for Ebuka's base. Ebuka belonged to an occultic group who gave wealth in return for one thing or the other. After Okeke was well rested, they headed to Chief's house. Chief was the head of the confraternity. After introducing Okeke to Chief, he was asked if he could pay the price for wealth, and he affirmed. Chief told him he can't father another child and he will be inflicted with a leg ulcer that will never heal. I have 3 children and my living condition is worse than a foot ulcer, he thought to himself. After a moment of silence, he told the chief he was ready and they began the initiation process. Ebuka told him he was welcomed to stay in his house if he didn't want to go back home until he got his own place. Within the space of 1 month, Okeke was swimming in money. He had so much money to throw around, but his foot ulcer always gave off a strong odor which drove people away from him. I have money now. I'll go get my family to come live with me here in the city. Hopefully, Orjiugo will go back to the sweet and loving wife she used to be, he thought to himself. He took his best car and headed to Obodongo. On entering his wife's restaurant, everyone in it left because of his strong odor. He told Orjiugo he had come to take them to the city to come live with him so they would go back to the once happy family. But Orjiugo told him she can't live with a smelly man and that his intention to kill her and her kids has failed. His children, who missed their dad, spent some minutes with him before they left as a result of the order. He went back to the city unhappy. What is the use of money if I can't spend it with my family, he thought. On getting to the city, he went straight to Chief. He told Chief to do something about the odor because it scared people away from him, his family inclusive. Chief told him he would have to sacrifice his only son for the ulcer to heal. I can no longer have kids and you want me to sacrifice my only heir. That is not possible. Take one of my daughters, he told Chief. But Chief refused. He lived a lonely and an unhappy man who was wealthy but people ran from him. One day, Orjiugo was making her signature okwa, and one of the girls she employed, who was curious to find out why she wouldn't let anyone close to where she makes her dishes, sneaked a pic with her phone, recording Orjiugo washing out her secret ingredients. The girl confronted Orjiugo with the video, but Orjiugo snatched the phone from her and threw it inside the boiling water. She immediately sacked the girl to keep her secret hidden. That night, she ran to the native doctor, scared that the girl might reveal her secret. She narrated what had happened to the native doctor, who told her he could remedy the situation. He gave her a knife and asked her to strike into the calabash in front of her, and she did. And he asked her to go home and continue her business. On reaching home, she found her last child in the pool of her own blood, with her other children crying. She asked them what had happened, and they told her a knife from nowhere struck her. It dawned on her that she killed her own child. She went into depression and ended her restaurant business. Okeke, on the other hand, told the confraternity he no longer wanted the wealth, and they told him he will exchange his freedom with his son's life, which he will never bring himself to do. This is how a once happy family turned sour. Moral lesson: put them down in the comment section, and please subscribe.